Okay, so it's 10:30. That means certainly it's 10:30 in the UK.
Yeah.
And that means it's time for Mark and his presentation, Streamline Mainframe Production with the right key performance indicators. If you have any questions during the session, please put them in the chat and I will ask Mark the questions as we go along, if that works. Otherwise, we'll keep the questions to the end and have a discussion then. Please remember to show your appreciation and give feedback for the session. This is session 3 AM, and luckily it's not actually 3 AM in time. So I hope you enjoy the session, and Mark, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to the ZETALY session. So streamline mainframe production with the right key performance indicators. So I am Marc Béchy, and I'm speaking from my apartment in Paris. As in France, we are back in lockdown since last week, and for maybe the next 5 weeks and maybe more. So I hope everybody is safe, given those tough conditions we are all experiencing. So ZETALY, who are we? We used to be called Z-Cost Management, and we changed our commercial name this year to ZETALY. So the company was founded in 2006. We are a French software vendor focused on mainframe. The development lab is based in Nantes, in the west part of France, and we got offices in Paris and in the USA, and we have a global presence via our business partners. So the first solution, auto self-capping, was released in 2007, and it was almost the first solution to towards software cost management, software cost saving through dynamic LPAR capacity management. Then in 2010, we released the CCP tool, our solution to simulate and forecast software cost. And last year, we launched ZETALY. ZETALY is an all-in-one solution to analyze, optimize, plan the mainframe resources and the mainframe costs. All right. So today we're going to spend around 30 minutes together. After a short introduction, I will go through what are the IT operation challenges, and then cover how to streamline your mainframe IT operations by answering 4 key questions, and I will present the KPIs that will allow you to answer those 4 key questions, and then I will conclude. All right? No, sorry. So mainframe are critical for many companies, and especially in the finance industry. 92% of the top 100 banks are using mainframes, rely on mainframes, and the top 10 insurance rely as well on mainframe. And the mainframe production represents 30 billion transactions per day, and 80% of all business data are still stored on the mainframe platform. And the mainframe is representing 68% of the IT production for only 6% of the cost. And I don't know who said that the mainframe was an expensive platform. So what are the challenges of the production team, or what are the challenges the production teams are facing? And by production teams, I mean the IT operation teams that are responsible for making the IT infrastructure work. They all cover mainframe infrastructure management, maintenance, and monitoring activities. So the IT operation teams have many responsibilities, from ensuring system and application availability, monitoring response time to keep internal and external customers happy, comply with the service level agreement, efficiently use available resources, guarantee performance within allocated budgets, and charge back the right amount to the right customers. And this is a 24/7 challenge that leads to the daily morning meeting. Also, maybe your daily morning meeting may not look exactly the same as the war room picture displayed, but in essence, it is critical that every morning the batch activity of the night is reviewed and the following questions are answered. When did my batch activity ended? What was the CPU consumption during the night? This consumption, does it have an impact on my rolling 4-hour peak? Do we have critical batch issues? And what are the jobs that didn't start, that didn't completed, that are completed in event? And regarding the online activity, did the TP open on time? Did the TP started in full function mode, or do I have to start some kicks in downgraded mode? And to be efficient during this morning meeting, you really need reliable and current information regarding the mainframe infrastructure you are operating. You need KPIs. And most of the time, KPIs are extracted through manual processes, merging and combining information from multiple sources of information, Excel files, SAS, MXG, TDS, and other tools providing poor data visualization capabilities. And as each team has its own view, there is no consolidated view for the needed KPIs. And it's really important to you understand the profile of your activity in order to be able to answer what are the busiest period of the day, busiest period of the week, busiest period of the year. Do I have a off-peak period where I could run some batch activity? So you really need to analyze your production, and for that you need historical data. Once you can analyze based on the historical data you collect, you can then optimize and then you can plan. Before entering in the KPIs, a brief presentation of what are the main components of a service delivery, which are basically split in two main components: the online transactional processing activity with the transactional monitors, KICS and IMSDC, the databases, DB2, IMSDB, and other transactional technologies like MQ series, like WebSphere applications server for the OS. On the batch processing, the main part is the batch execution workflow with its critical path. And by critical path, I mean the flow, all the batches with their dependencies that will lead to the longest time of execution, and that could impact, if not respected, a delay of the batch window and the inability to start the TP activity on time. The storage as well on the batch processing and the file transfer. Databases may as well be part of the batch processing. So What are the KPIs you need? You need the KPIs that will allow you to answer those 4 questions. What are we producing? With which resources? What is the quality and the performance, and at what cost? Okay. So let's dig into the first question. What are we producing? So from a high level perspective, for the online and the batch activity, we have the the number of transactions executed for the online activity and the number of batch executed for the batch activity. And we can split those KPIs by day activity and night activity. And then if we dig into more detail about this online and batch activity, it's important, for example, to understand during the day what is the batch activity, in order that you may that because the batch activity may impact the TP performance during the day. And as well, it's important to understand during the day the TP activity in number of transactions per hour. And if you need more detail, you could have a view for a period of time during the day and analyze your online activity on a per minute basis. Regarding DB2, the 2 key indicators regarding DB2 are the DB2 activity and the DB2 performance. On the DB2 activity, you will measure the number of threads that are used to connect to the DB2 database, and the DB2 response time. And on the graph, you can see the green bar are representing the number of threads per day, but that could be per hour and then per minute, and as well the pink curve representing the DB2 response time for a specific DB2 per in that case per day, but that could you can as well dig into more detail if you need. But now that you understand what you are producing from a very high level perspective, it is really important, as the IT operation is there to support the business operation, to understand who are consuming your resource. What are the business units who are consuming your resource? Here you can see the different business units of an insurance company. And you can see the consumption, the cost, which is derived from the consumption of each BU for that organization. And it's important you be in position to identify who are the top business contributor to your activity, if some BU are growing, decreasing, and so understanding what is the business activity profile. So once we now understand what you are producing and who is consuming your production, you need to understand what are the resources that are used to make that production possible. And for that presentation, I will focus on 2 main resources, and CPU and storage. So regarding the CPU consumption, I already mentioned it previously. It's important to understand during the day activity, the batch activity that may impact the TP performance, but as well you need to understand from a high level perspective, the CPU usage, maybe per type of processors, to understand what is your level of white space in your CPCs. Of course, here on the graph, we don't see any anomalies, but you could be able to understand, to dig into more detail to spot anomalies and bad behaviors. And again, same graph for the night activity, where you can see here that the batch consumption is much higher during the night than during the day. Regarding the storage, the high-level KPIs will give you the your total capacity, the free space, and the capacity used, and then you need to dig into more detail to monitor the critical storage group, and specifically to monitor the storage group that are almost out of space in order to prevent bottleneck. In terms of storage performance, you need to be able to answer this question: do we have the right higher bandwidth? So you need to be able to monitor your response time for each storage group, and as well to understand what is the IO activity at the storage group level. All right. So let's move to the third questions. What is the level of quality and performance? Okay. If we look at the batch performance and quality, what is it, critical at the batch level? It's really to monitor the batch execution workflow, to understand if you got bottlenecks, to monitor the batch window and the critical path to be able to resume TP on time. It's important as well to understand if you have a problem, to understand what are the job dependencies, and if you want to clean, have a clean production, to understand who are the obsolete jobs. So on the right-hand side, you can see the top 20 batch job consumption, and so you can really spot on what are the consumption of your jobs, and as well you can maybe identify all the jobs which are part of the critical path and monitor their execution time in order to understand if you will be able to open the TP on time at the end of the batch execution workflow. On at the bottom, it's a graph showing the dependencies between the different jobs. So each rectangle represents a batch job, and each oval represents the data sets that are either created by a batch job or read by a batch job. And if in that case you have an issue on the batch on the job in the middle, you will understand what are its dependency and who could be impacted by the issue on that job. Okay. Still on the batch performance and quality, it's also important to monitor the number of job happens during the day, during the night, and understand what are the different condition codes that are related to these events, and understand for each condition code what are the jobs impacted by this type of condition code and the jobs and the program. So you can, from a high level perspective here, you can then dig into more detail, and then if I will select this condition code, I can see the job that are facing this condition code and the program as well. On the still talking about performance and quality on the online activity, what is important is really to monitor the kicks response time on a daily basis, and then you will be able to dig into more detail if you need. Here you got a graph representing the response time on a hourly basis. Okay, and on the quality, you need to monitor the abend, the number of transactions in abend, and here a graph showing what are the top 20 transaction and number of abend per transaction. And you will see that the transaction VLNC is the the bad guy on today. Okay. And there you have at the high level, the number of events for the period of time you selected. Okay. And continuing with the performance at a very high level, we can as well check the performance index of all your service class. And so the closest to 1, the better. So you can see here on the graph that we have 4 service classes with a performance index above 4. So at least for those 3, you should ask yourself whether you have a performance issue or whether you have to review the definition of this service class. Okay, all right. So fourth and last questions, what are the costs? What are the costs of my production? So when we are talking about mainframe cost, the mainframe cost that includes all the expenses that are associated with the acquisition and the maintenance of the mainframe. And usually we distinguish 6 cost categories: the hardware, the software, the people, the network, the storage, and the facility. And altogether, it's represent what we call the total cost of ownership, or TCO. And here on the graph, you can see some percentage that are allocated to each component, that are percentage that are shared within the mainframe industry. Maybe the percentage may vary according to your environment, but what we can see that the software, and especially the IBM MLC software, is the largest part of your cost. So it is then important to understand the software cost, and it is to understand the software cost of what you are producing now. Because today the SCRT gives you a vision of the past, and if you think about that the SCRT is created at the end of the month, and then sent to IBM, who will send you an invoice a month later, you may wait 2 months to understand the cost of what you have produced. So it's really important to understand the cost when you are producing. So on the graph, you can see here the MLC consumption for the production environment on AWLC, and the MLC consumption for the non-production environment. And at the bottom graph, you can see the associated cost for the production environment and the non-production environment on a monthly basis, but as well you can have it on a daily basis if you need. So the idea here is to be in a position to manage your cost in a near real-time situation. So then you need to understand who are driving your cost. It is the batch activity, it is the TP activity, and you need to understand your MLC cost breakdown. And finally, you need to understand who is consuming and at what cost. So here you can see on the right hand side the MLC cost of the MLC cost of different IBM product per day, per month, or splitted per CPC or per ALPA. And on the left hand side, the BU cost of an insurance company. Okay. So we are at the end of the presentation. So as a summary, my conclusion would be that if you want to be in a position to analyze, optimize, plan your production, you need an easy access to consolidated KPIs to be able to answer what are we producing, with which resources, what is the quality and the performance, and at what cost. And an example of kind of dashboard that you could use to answer all those questions that I presented before. Do you have any questions? No.
Okay. I haven't had any questions in the chat.
Okay.
For those of you attending, I have given you the ability to unmute yourself. At least I hope I have. So if you would like to ask any questions, or again, if you would like to pop them in the chat, then I can relay them to Mark.
Okay. No questions. So if you want to know more about ZETALY, please go to the website. And we have other sessions. We have one session this afternoon around efficiently managed storage. And we have another session next week regarding hardware instrumentation services. Okay, so I'm inviting you to attend those. Thank you very much.
Okay, so please remember to provide feedback for the session. That's both for the presenter to understand the feedback on their session, but also for the conference to understand things that are of interest for next year's conference. One that we hope will be face-to-face, but you know, we all never know. Again, for donations to this year's GSE conference, charity, National Health Service. So you can give feedback from the QR code, from the link, from the the HTTP or the QR code, and also from your bring your own agenda. There's an area at the bottom where you can input, click on, and then add your feedback. Okay. Thank you very much for giving your time to attend, and thank you, Mark, for giving your time to present.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you everybody for attending, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep, be safe.
Yeah, thank you.